Haley. There was an announcement made yesterday that Nikki Haley's campaign was expected to make a huge announcement today. And I am giving Nikki Haley the Troll of the Year award. You guys with me? We're going to get into it, but she gets the Troll of the Year award. Now, as some of you may realize, the GOP South Carolina primary is actually Saturday. Donald Trump is destroying Nikki Haley in South Carolina, which I predicted would happen. Having lived there, I can tell you a lot of people like Donald Trump in South Carolina. Yes, it's Nikki Haley's state, but Nikki Haley is not as well liked by a lot of people in South Carolina, even after she was governor. So let's get into this announcement, because you know Nikki like to troll. She out here trolling for real.
Well, I'm not afraid to say the hard truths out loud. I feel no need to kiss the ring. I have no fear of Trump's retribution. I'm not. I'm not looking for anything from him. My own political future is of zero concern. So I hear what the political class says, but I hear from the American people too. I've heard from a retired Army medic who looked evil in the eye when he says we're headed toward disaster, that American lives are on the line. He knows what he's talking about. He knows we can't afford more of the same. That's why he told me to give him hell.
It's kind of hard to give someone hell after you already you lost in Iowa, you lost in New Hampshire, and you will lose in South Carolina this Saturday. But go ahead, Nikki.
Has no clothes.
I've heard from a mom who promised to email me every day, and she does. She just wants a return to normalcy. She wants me to keep running for the sake of her 4-year-old son. She hopes he'll see the, quote, America she grew up in. An America that's strong and proud and united in purpose. And I've heard from a high school student who just last week came to hear me speak. She asked me to sign a note to her teacher explaining her absence. After growing up amid the chaos and anger of the last few years, she finally has hope that America will make it if we make the right choice. I'm constantly hearing from Americans like these, hundreds a day, thousands a week, and hundreds of thousands since I declared my candidacy. They see the same polls as me, but more importantly, they have the same belief as me. They believe in America. They believe America can do so much better, that we must do better. And they know when the country's future is on the line, you don't drop out. You keep fighting. In fact, you fight harder than ever. That's why I refuse to quit. South Carolina will vote on Saturday, but on Sunday, I'll still be running for president. I'm not going anywhere.
So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, Nikki Haley is not dropping out of this race. So this big announcement that her campaign said would be made today was not her announcing that she's dropping out of the race. Nikki was trolling. Nikki was trolling. There's more. Let me continue.
I'm campaigning every day until the last person votes, because I believe in a better America and a brighter future for our kids. Nothing good in life comes easy. I'm willing to take the cuts, the bruises, and the name calling, because the only way you get to the blessing is by going through the pain. Dropping out would be the easy route. I've never taken the easy route. I've been the underdog in every race I've ever run. I've always been David, taking on Goliath. And like David, I'm not just fighting someone bigger than me. I'm fighting for something bigger than myself.
So, you have to be you have to have a pretty big ego to compare yourself to a biblical figure. So she believes that she is David from the David and Goliath story. David did go on to defeat Goliath. David was very small and Goliath was large and mighty. But she's comparing herself to a biblical figure.
I'm used to people questioning my intentions, so I'll make a few things clear. Some people used to say I was running because I really wanted to be vice president. I think I've pretty well settled that question. Other people say I'm trying to set up a future presidential run. How does that even work?
It worked for Joe Biden. Let's all remember, Joe Biden ran for president 3 times, right? So remember the debate between him and Obama and Hillary? Like it worked for him. Third time's the charm? I don't know. He got in there.
If I was running for a bogus reason, I would have dropped out a long time ago. The rest of the fellas already did that. They had their own plans. I don't judge them. But I'm still here. I'm fighting for what I know is right, and I don't care what the party leaders and political elites want. I'll keep fighting until the American people close the door. That day is not today, and it won't be on Saturday, not by a long shot. The presidential primaries have barely begun. Just 3 states have voted.
That's right.
3. That's it. After this weekend, we'll be at 4. That's not a lot. In the 10 days after South Carolina, another 21 states and territories will vote. People have a right to have their voices heard. And they deserve a real choice, not a Soviet-style election where there's only one candidate and he gets 99% of the vote.
That's right.
Notice how she threw in the slight Russia jab there, you guys? Notice how she did that? Not a Soviet style. Oh my God.
We don't anoint kings in this country. We have elections. And
we don't anoint kings, but we have donors that actually pick the candidates all the time. What is she talking about? No, we don't have a king. She's like, yeah, we have elections, but these people are chosen. These people are picked by donors, just like you were picked, Nikki. You have a lot of donors. They picked you out of a little hat and said, this is someone that's going to get a lot of independents. And this is someone that's actually going to get some people from the Democratic Party. There's been Democrats voting for Nikki Haley. I told you she didn't have a strong base within the Republican Party. So there's been Democrats that have been voting for her. There were independents that were voting for her. But New Hampshire really pulled, the cover off, so to speak, because we saw how little support she actually got from Republicans in New Hampshire. She was selected too. I don't know what she's talking about.
Donald Trump, of all people, should know we don't rig elections.
The 2016 DNC fraud lawsuit would actually deny that. And I'm pretty sure the lawyers, Jared Beck and his wife, would like to have a word. Because how can you sit here and say that we don't rig elections? And there was actually an entire case called the DNC fraud lawsuit.
Americans of every belief and background are tired of our national mess. They don't want more chaos and craziness. They worry about a national collapse. If I weren't in the race, we'd be reading the exact same storyline every day until November 5th. There would be widespread reports of Americans suffering from a bad case of Biden-Trump fatigue. And it would be true. A stunning 70% of the country doesn't want a Biden-Trump rematch. The majority of Americans don't just dislike one candidate, they dislike both. As a country, we've never seen such dissatisfaction and division. We still have a chance to restore their faith. I will fight as long as that chance exists.
But the thing is, look, this is a primary, right? So it's very obvious that, like I said, because she doesn't have a lot of support within the Republican Party, it's very clear that she's not going to win the Republican primary. In the end, she's not going to be the nominee. The nominee is going to be Donald Trump. Now, here's what I think may be happening here. Part of me feels like Nikki Haley is trying to stay in this race because she actually believes that Donald Trump is going to go to jail. Part of me believes that's why she's hanging in. And another part of me feels like at some point she may try to pivot and run on the no labels ticket. Now, I know you guys are thinking, well, no labels is new. She's going to have this issue with ballot access. No labels has a lot of money. They have millions and millions of dollars, and they've been ready to go regardless of if it's Nikki Haley or if it was going to be Joe Manchin. They've been waiting for this moment. So part of me wonders, obviously she's not trying to be vice president. Part of me wonders if she's trying to stay in because she feels like Donald Trump is going to be, sentenced to prison, or if she may try to get some type of pivot here with the no labels ticket. That's what I'm wondering, because at this point in time, other than that, it really does not make sense for you to continue to stay in, wasting campaign funds. Hello. You've already lost 3 states. You're going to lose your 4th one this Saturday. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense for you to stay in unless something else is in the works.
Now, I know what Donald Trump is saying. He wants an election with no opponent.
Yeah.
But that's not what the voters are saying. Despite being a de facto incumbent, Donald Trump lost 49% of the vote in Iowa. In New Hampshire, Trump lost 46% of the vote.
Oops.
That's not good.
I don't know who that guy was in the crowd that said, oops. Yeah, he did. She's right. He did lose that percentage of the vote, but you still lost. So that's the thing. Where did those other voters go? The support that Donald Trump lost, where did they go? Because they didn't go to Nikki Haley. That's the thing. She mainly got support from independents and some people who are Democrats, because in New Hampshire, you can do the thing. So think about that.
We're talking about almost half of our voters. What does it say about an incumbent who's losing nearly half of his party? It spells disaster in November. We shouldn't silence those voters like Trump wants. They have the right to keep speaking out.
Yeah.
Trump sees this. That's why he and his allies are now trying a different tack. They're saying, I'm helping Joe Biden by staying in. Let's unpack that for a second. First things first, Joe Biden is doing more damage to himself than any Republican ever could. Every time he opens his mouth, he sounds like his mind is closing up shop. The Democrats are getting weaker by holding a coronation for Biden. Republicans will get stronger through a vigorous competition.
Yeah.
But they don't want you. Like, that's the thing.
We have plenty of time to hash this out. If the race ended today, we would have the longest general election in history.
Jesus.
There are still 8.5 months before Election Day. Do we really want to spend every day from now until November watching America's 2 most disliked politicians duke it out?
Hell no. Hell no.
No sane person wants that. But there's another reason Trump is wrong. At the end of the day, the only candidate who's helping Joe Biden is Donald Trump. Because Trump is the only Republican Biden can beat. The Democrats know it. They don't even try and conceal it.
I'm sorry. At this point in time, I actually don't think Joe Biden can beat anyone. Not just the polls.